Hello everybody. So today of all days, something is now really telling me to make these videos, to start a series and start to express this knowledge and information that I gathered. I was actually gonna do something different, make myself some breakfast, but no, it was like the sensation was so important and immediate that I have to make this video before I even make something to eat. It has to do with the gathering and flow of energy through living systems, mammals, birds, whatever you have. They work the same. They work on the same hardware, the same kind of thing, the same process. So you can call this energy chi or prana or body voltage or life force or whatever you want to call it, but it has certain properties which are both electric on the inside of the body and magnetic on the outside, that so that basically you can start to measure it, to think in scientific terms about it. Now, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about two processes. There's a video which I might link in the description of a Qigong master explaining this and saying the same thing I'm saying here. So two processes: digestion and breathing. Digestion and breathing. So digestion gives you glucose and breathing gives you oxygen. And if you mix the two together, you get a certain reaction which results in water and CO2 and energy, like electrons, like free electrical energy to do work with. Dr. Tennant explains to us how this works scientifically, like how cells and cell membranes use electricity to stay healthy, to fix themselves, to make new cells where they're needed, and so on and so forth. But what you need to remember and understand is that there's this process of basically here somewhere you make the glucose from digestion and the oxygen, bring them together, make energy, and then you have this filling up process, this filling up with electricity. That's the production aspect, okay? Now the thing is, there's also a, how do I say this? You're also reducing, you're consuming it, right? The thinking in our heads, okay? The firing of electrical signals in neurons, that it costs energy, that decreases it. Talking, making any kind of sound will, like that energy comes from somewhere. If I sing or howl or do anything, I'm consuming that kind of energy, so I'll have to eat again, breathe some more, just keep that going. So it's how much you're making versus how much you're expending. When you look at martial arts and stuff like that, like any movement that you make, like this with fingers, okay, there's electric current going from here up. It goes, I mean, I can't tell you how it's wired. That's not, I can just tell you how I see it. And so there's the head fires the signal that tells the muscles how to contract. It's a lot of electrical thing on it. It's basically your energy goes from here all the way up and out to the end of your fingers. So when you do any sort of movement at all, that always consumes energy. If you, by contrast, sit down and breathe in a chair, in a bed, just sit and breathe, compare that to, say, walking or just doing any kind of expenditure of energy, you're gonna see that it's not the same. When you sit and breathe, eyes closed, especially if you're not analyzing people talking and signals from outside, you're gonna be gathering more energy, right? So this kind of body voltage and energy gathers in the body and gradually fills more and more of your systems. It's not the same, for instance, if you're a couch potato, having just barely enough energy to stay alive and move around at a dragging your feet kind of pace, or if you're like an Olympic athlete or Bruce Lee or something that has put a lot of, just specialized training into burning the fat and amplifying all kinds of things here so optimizing for high energy discharges, right? You do, if you look at like a sprinter, right? They're gonna be optimized for gathering a ton of energy in their muscles and body and everything. and expanding that at super high rate of speed in a few seconds. Just run like hell. A couch potato won't be able to do anything of the sort. So their maximum rate of, first of all, their capacity will be very low. They've gathered a lot of energy as fat, which you can expand over months, but not over 5 or 10 seconds like a sprinter does. So it's all about rate of charging. How do you store that energy, whether you convert it to fat or not, and then rate of discharge. What prompted me to make these videos is because I've been having some issues of my own. Like you see the computer here, just too much time spent at the computer for me personally. That means shallow breathing. That means there's not enough oxygen, not nearly enough. When we are at the computer or some movies or something, we tend to block breath without noticing a lot. And the more you meditate, the more you start to notice this process. You'll do. You get drawn into something out there, and because you're working to figure out the details of what you're looking at, or to listen or whatever it is, there's like a reflex that we have to block breath for a couple of seconds. Now, if you do that once an hour, that's fine. If you do that once every 10 minutes, that's fine. But what if you do it 10 times a minute? What if chronically and constantly your breathing process isn't fluent, like fluid, continuous, but it's just broken? So you're just staying there, right, at the computer. You are expending a ton of energy through the eyes, so to speak. I've seen effects that show that we do send energy out through the eyes, but more importantly, we do visual analysis. However scientific you are, you can't really discount this fact that when we open eyes and analyze a full visual field, we have a ton of our neural network active. So we have to keep that active, powered up to analyze all kinds of things. It's like a lot of energy getting thrown into that, and not as much into movement and fingers. So what happens, what the effect is of this, it's this type of sedentary lifestyle. If you sit too much at the computer and too little sports, too little exercise, is that basically your body gets optimized for sort of lower voltage, like your brain doesn't work as well. It's not the same thing if you're, say, a martial artist and you have to deal with multiple opponents and things and just really, at least from time to time, power up your whole body and brain. Or you're like just a gamer, and the most action you'll see on your muscles is just like when you twitch with the mouse really hard. It's not quite the same. You're not going to end up gasping for air from gaming or watching videos. You're going to end up gasping for air and really pushing that energy around if you go sprinting and swimming and stuff like that. What am I looking to say here? I'm looking to say the following. That if we tweak a little bit the ratio of time we spend charging, that is breathing with eyes closed, focus internal, and discharging, that is doing other stuff with focus external, probably eyes open, if we tweak that, if we do more of the first and less of the second, we can basically exist at a more energy charged state. And one of the effects of this is that we get much better ideas. I can tell you this because I've seen it myself, and it's obvious wherever you look. Just talk to a drunk person or any sort of weird couch potato, depressive, blah, you're gonna see this thing. It's like their mind can't notice certain things that are obvious to you. You get them running and doing sports for a couple of weeks, and then you ask the same questions, have the same conversations, and the same head, even without any more reading or any theoretical knowledge added on, will have better quality observations, will not notice things stand out that they wouldn't notice before. Okay, so what I'm saying is, one effect is that we get smarter from this energy if we're balancing it right and charging up properly. If we don't lose countless nights at the computer and so on and so forth, but we keep the cycle of rest, discharge, active and balanced and in nice proportion. Another thing I can it should be obvious is that high energy in a body like this is it's attractive. It's attractive to anything and anybody. It's attractive to possible partners, romance, business partners, because you speak differently. Like right now, for instance, not in my best state. I've seen better, I've seen worse. But having lost, like wasted previous night just online, blah, doing stuff and stretching it too much with the computer, I figured, hey, it's been months. Let me just start putting some method into this madness, because it's not okay. So how do we fix this? Okay, what problems are here, and how does this work? I may need to do more more specific videos, more on topic and so on and so forth. But I'm saying that this energy process, if you understand it, you will see how it's tied into things like anxiety. It's a word which I normally don't use. I mean, I never say things, oh, anxiety made me do this or whatever. There is no anxiety. There is you blocking breath, which means you keep your energy down so as not to be a threat for others or not to bring up emotions and not to, right? There's no anxiety. There's depression, for instance. It's a low energy state, like I mentioned, poor diet and very poor breathing skills, very poor breathing stuff. And that's why when you start people on sports or meditation, eyes closed, breath focused meditation, in a lot of the cases that improves their depression and moods quite a bit. And one thing that that I know of, that modern science doesn't really put a focus on, is how the eyes work. How, if you're focused externally, this changes your vibe and the processing, the processes in your body. And if you close eyes and focus internally, something very different happens. And that's why anybody with depression or anything like that, you can feel free to message me, and I'll work with you if you want to see that this actually works. There is no depression. There's people who just do see what I'm saying? This is low breathing with a lot of interruptions, so they bring a bit of energy up, like, and then wait and think, wait and think, wait and think. So if you give them a task like close your eyes, breathe continuously, and keep on breathing, what you're likely to see is they're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 breaths and then forget about it, zone out. I forgot. Okay, do it again. And then you're never gonna get more than 3, 4 breaths in the beginning. Although there's like hard to verbalize, but I'm saying our brain and body optimizes for a certain level of energy, and depression is a low level that people optimize for. But it's an activity to stay at low level. If you can start to see how to get from low to high and high to low, you're like, everything moves, everything cleans, everything works. Boy, this video is all over the place. I'm saying the following. Most of modern society is heavily designed and optimized for discharge, right? You get up in the morning, you start doing a lot of stuff, focus external. At no point are you encouraged to, hey, sit down under this tree and just observe. Maybe close your eyes and just listen. Although this will have amazing impact on your health and happiness and everything, it costs no money, zero money, to sit somewhere away from cars and noise and just breathe and be. But it's amazing as a healer and fixer for all kinds of physical and emotional and mental issues. You don't see commercials about this. You see commercials about, hey, buy our new gizmo, but drink this drink, this Coca-Cola energy bullshit. But I'm saying if and when we start to figure this out more, we'll see that, hey, we don't need all that crap. What we need is food, and water and breathing and each other, electrical contacts and magnetic contacts and eye contact with each other, and we'll be fine. You don't need to slap on a Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, Red Bull label on the whole thing, nor do you need alcohol. Nor do you need many other molecules. This works as it is. So what I'm saying is, when we do that, when we collectively, or enough of us, start to function at that higher level with a body more filled electrically by more meditation, massage, sex, sports, flow arts, whatever you will. When we do that, we start getting the next level of ideas, which has to do with the next level of our society, what we can do as beings, how we can organize, what we get hypnotized by and what we don't. Okay, there's a certain level of stupidity, and read that as low energy, being mindlessly zoned out in low energy, in order for a billboard or a commercial to work on you. If you are above that level, it won't work. You're going to see the Marlboro Man or the Coca-Cola, whatever, or the KFC, McDonald's logo and photography, and you're going to just go, ooh, because once you've reached a certain level of energy and you get accustomed to it, parts of your brain and body start going ew at anything that might lower it again. So all the chemicals, all the cigarettes, all the noise, all the bullshit, you know. Yeah, boy, this video is almost pushing on 20 minutes. I'm not sure if I should even upload. But I'm saying, there's a way to understand this. It's a fairly basic, simple way, at least in one sense. And if you understand the electric flow of energy in the body and how that is connection to nutrition, including psychedelics, to water or other liquids, alcohol, water, and so on and so forth. If you understand how that works, how the air bit works, the breathing, the oxygen, you understand that, that's a major game changer for everything that you do. Be it business, the mating and dating game, the family life, how you choose to have fun or not, how long you live, how well you live, and so on and so forth. And this would be, I guess, one of the first videos in which I'm looking to express this and share this. And I think this is information that's coming out through many sources now. I think we as a species are starting to once again remove attention from all the material, metal, bling we have outside and start to once again put attention to what we have here. And we now start to realize that whatever gizmo we can make outside, whatever iPhone, flying drone, whatever thing we can do is outside is far inferior to the technology level of what we have inside. And so it pays to at least split attention to a lot more inside. Even if we don't go all in, like the hermits do, living in some cave, even if we go somewhat in and somewhat out, we're now starting to notice as a society that the more focus we put in ourselves and in each other, I'm talking family, tribe, friends, and so on, the more we become aware of the internal, the better we can design and construct our external. This is something that, in my opinion, works in cycles. If you look at all kinds of things like sacred texts where people were a lot more involved in this back in the day, a couple of thousand years ago. If you look at tribal cultures, they're still involved in this very much because they use so much of their own internal energy to get their food and get protection and everything they need. They have to have methods that work. So if you're depressed, usually they have far better ways to deal with this than modern city people. And you can actually measure that. You find a lot less depression in tribal cultures, at least those that haven't been plagued by alcohol, than you find in a city, right? So in a city, in theory, you would have everything you need. You have all the food, all the water, all the males and females. You can have a massively hedonistic, hedonistic, pleasurable lifestyle, and yet not the case. Not the case. Suicides, depression, mental health issues. Oh my God, I'm so sad. I'm like, oh, how does that work? Well, we're gonna explore how that works in the next couple of videos. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to making more of this stuff. I feel it's really helping my sanity to express like this. Also, some feedback would be welcome if you have any. Just share the good vibes, pass it on, come trolling, trolling, spamming, do your thing, man, do your thing.